The unexpected defenders. Captain Alina Reyes stood at the viewport of the UES Intrepid, watching as her ragtag fleet assembled in Earth's orbit. The ships of the 14th Fleet weren't much to look at. 26 vessels of varying ages, designs, and states of repair. Some dated back to the Mars expansion era. Others were retrofitted civilian vessels. The 14th wasn't Earth's pride. It was Earth's last resort. Captain, Admiral Chen is requesting your presence at UNDF headquarters immediately, Lieutenant Park announced from the communications station. Alina frowned. The 14th Fleet rarely received priority anything. They were the misfits, crewed by officers who didn't fit elsewhere and assigned outdated equipment nobody else wanted. A summons to headquarters was unusual. 3 hours later, Alina stood in the United Nations Defense Force War Room, surrounded by admirals and government officials. Before them hovered a being unlike any Alina had seen in her 17 years of service, a Vectran. Its slender form encased in an atmosphere suit that glowed with intricate circuitry patterns. The Hive Dominion has already consumed 4 systems along our border, the alien ambassador, Zurex, explained through a translator. Our most advanced warships are disabled upon engagement. The Vectran Conclave estimates complete annexation of our territories within 40 Earth days. Admiral Chen, head of the UNDF, leaned forward. Ambassador, we sympathize with your situation, but Earth is still recovering from the Centauri conflict. Our primary battle groups are deployed throughout human space maintaining stability. We understand. Zyrex's translator conveyed, though the alien's body language suggested frustration. But the Hive Dominion will not stop with Vectran space. They are systematic consumers of technology and resources. Earth will eventually face them alone. Alina watched the officials exchange glances. Earth's relationship with the Vectrans had been strained since first contact decades ago. The technologically advanced species had regarded humans as primitive curiosities, barely worth diplomatic recognition. What precisely are you requesting? Admiral Chen asked. Military intervention, Zurex replied, his suit's lights intensifying. The Vectran Conclave offers complete access to our gravitational manipulation technology in exchange. The chamber erupted in whispers. Gravitational manipulation technology was decades beyond Earth's capabilities, the foundation of efficient FTL travel and advanced weaponry. Admiral Chen sighed. Ambassador, we simply cannot spare our advanced fleets. The Security Council has already voted. Alina found herself speaking before she could stop herself. We could deploy the 14th Fleet. The room fell silent before Admiral Guerres scoffed. The 14th. It's a collection of outdated vessels crewed by specialists who don't fit elsewhere. The 14th is operational, Alina countered, and we're already prepped for deep space deployment. Security Council President Okafor studied Alina thoughtfully. Captain Rice, your fleet consists of 26 vessels, most at least 15 years old. The Hive Dominion has destroyed hundreds of Vectran warships with significantly more advanced technology. Alina nodded. Yes, Madam President, but there's something the Vectrans haven't considered about human vessels and human tactics. 2 weeks later, Captain Rice stood on the bridge of the Intrepid as the 14th Fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of Vectran space. Beside her, Ambassador Zurex watched with obvious apprehension as the human vessels assumed formation. Your ships are. Zyrex searched for a diplomatic phrase. Outdated, Alina offered with a smile. Yes, they are. Lieutenant Wallace at Tactical reported. Captain, long-range sensors detect 2 Hive Dominion carriers entering the system, each approximately 18 kilometers in length. On the view screen, the massive black vessels resembled gigantic insects, their hulls covered in strange protrusions that pulsed with energy. They're scanning us, Wallace added. Alina nodded. Let them. Deploy all ships in Hydra formation. Power all systems to maximum output. Make us as visible as possible. Commander Sophia Diaz, her first officer, raised an eyebrow. Captain, the Hive adapts to what it knows. Alina explained. Let's give them something to focus on. Xyrex's suit lights flickered rapidly. Vectran doctrine is to minimize detection signatures. Your ships are announcing themselves. Precisely. Alina smiled as the 14th Fleet spread out in an aggressive stance, running hot, broadcasting on all frequencies. All ships, weapons free. Execute Operation Patchwork. The UES Thermopylae, an ancient destroyer from humanity's first expansion era, moved forward. Its outdated engines glowed blue-hot as it launched what appeared to be a barrage of conventional missiles toward the lead hive vessel. Projectile weapons. Xyrex was aghast. The Dominion's energy shields can withstand direct hits from our graviton cannons. The missiles detonated 1,000 kilometers from the hive vessel, creating a series of electromagnetic pulses. The massive ship's shields rippled but held. Again, ordered Alina. All ships, coordinated salvo. Nearly 200 detonations bloomed in space, none striking their targets directly. Your weapons are ineffective, Xyrex observed, his translator conveying confusion. We're not trying to destroy their shields, Alina explained as she watched the tactical display. We're creating interference patterns. Through the fluctuations in the hive shields, microscopic drones, thousands of them, penetrated the barrier. Each carried neither explosives nor conventional weapons but information. Simplistic computer viruses evolved from Earth's earliest digital arms race. The Hive Dominion is a neural collective, Alina explained to the bewildered ambassador. It thinks and acts as one entity across its ships. It's never encountered a species that spent as much time fighting itself as fighting others. Humans had been hacking each other's systems for centuries before they reached the stars. Every government, corporation, and independent group had developed increasingly sophisticated digital weapons and defenses in an endless technological arms race. The 14th specializes in asymmetric warfare, Alina continued. Most species build bigger guns. We build better workarounds. The high ships began to drift, their coordinated movements becoming erratic. The viruses weren't designed to shut the ships down. That would be impossible against such advanced technology. Instead, they created microsecond delays in the hive decision-making processes, introduced subtle errors in calculations, and prioritized non-critical systems. Lieutenant Wu, Alina called to her communications officer, begin broadcasting on all Vectran frequencies. I want every ship in their defense fleet to hear this. Alina turned to Xyrex. Ambassador, the hive isn't invincible. They're just unfamiliar. Their technology is advanced, but it follows predictable patterns. They've never encountered human unpredictability before. As Vectran vessels cautiously approached the disoriented high ships, Alina addressed the combined fleet. This is Captain Alina Reyes of Earth's 14th Fleet. What you're witnessing isn't magic or superior technology. It's adaptation. The hive relies on technological superiority and predictable responses. They've never faced a species that turned its weaknesses into strengths. The largest hive vessel suddenly fired its main weapon, a beam of coherent energy that should have bisected the Intrepid. Instead, it veered wildly off course, slicing through empty space. Now, Alina ordered, all Vectran vessels, target the areas we're marking on your tactical displays. The hive shields are destabilized at these coordinates. For the first time in the conflict, Vectran weapons found their mark, graviton beams slicing through the weakened sections of the hive shields, scoring deep gashes in the insectoid hulls. As the battle continued, Alina turned to Xyrex. Ambassador, I need your engineers to modify your communication arrays according to these specifications. She transmitted a series of equations to his suit interface. We're going to broadcast a specific frequency directly into the hive neural network. The ambassador hesitated. This is not conventional warfare. That's the point, Alina replied. The hive expects conventional. We're giving them chaos. 6 hours later, as the combined human Vectran fleet regrouped, the two hive carriers drifted powerless in space, their systems corrupted by code they had no defense against. Alina filed her report to Earth. 14th Fleet engaged enemy. 2 Hive Dominion vessels neutralized. Minimal damage to human ships. Victory achieved not through superior firepower, but through humanity's greatest weapon, our history of fighting ourselves. But as the crews celebrated, Alina knew this was just the beginning. As she studied the long-range scans showing a much larger Hive fleet assembling at the edge of the system, she understood the true test was yet to come. "They're adapting," she murmured, watching the distant enemy signals shift and change. "And now, so must we." Adaptive victory. Captain Alina Reyes stood in the Intrepid's briefing room, facing her senior officers and Ambassador Xirex, whose suit lights pulsed with urgency. The holographic display showed the Vecturian system's outer boundary, where 73 Hive Dominion vessels had appeared. Not just carriers this time, but specialized warships, sleek and deadly. "The Hive has adapted," Xirex's translator conveyed. "They've modified their neural linkages and shielding harmonics. Your previous tactics will be ineffective." "They've analyzed our attack," Commander Diaz noted, studying the tactical readouts. "They're expecting another electronic assault." Alina nodded thoughtfully. "Then we'll give them something completely different." She turned to Chief Engineer Malik Rahman. "Chief, how quickly can we implement Protocol Genesis?" Rahman's eyes widened. "You want to use Genesis against that fleet?" He ran calculations on his tablet. 18 hours minimum. And it might not even work. "It will work," Alina said with a confidence she didn't entirely feel, "because they're expecting complexity. They won't be looking for simplicity." As the meeting adjourned, Xirex approached Alina. "Captain, my people are curious about this Protocol Genesis. Our sensors detect your crews stripping components from your primary systems." Alina led the ambassador to the ship's observation deck, where they could see the Earth vessels undergoing rapid modifications. Maintenance drones swarmed around the ships, removing panels and reconfiguring systems. The Hive believes technology evolves in one direction, toward greater complexity, Alina explained. But human history isn't linear. We've learned that sometimes the answer lies in what we've abandoned. Xirex's suit lights showed confusion. "You're regressing your technology." "Not regressing," Alina corrected. "Diversifying. The Hive systems are designed to counter advanced energy weapons, neural interfaces, and digital attacks. They've now adapted to our electronic warfare tactics. But what about something more fundamental?" 16 hours later, the 14th Fleet moved to intercept the Hive Armada, joined by the remnants of the Vecturian Defense Force. The human ships had changed. External weapon arrays had been reconfigured, and makeshift projectors had been attached to their hulls. "The Hive fleet is accelerating," Lieutenant Wallace reported. "They'll be in weapons range in 4 minutes. All ships initiate Genesis protocol on my mark," Alina ordered. She turned to Xirex. "Your vessels should maintain their distance. This will get unpredictable." The first Hive ships opened fire, beams of coherent energy slicing through space. The 14th Fleet scattered, moving in seemingly chaotic patterns that somehow kept them just beyond the Hive targeting solutions. "Mark," Alina commanded. Across the fleet, officers activated the systems they'd spent nearly a day installing. The UEA's Intrepid shuddered as its modified arrays powered up, not broadcasting digital signals or launching viruses, but projecting something entirely different. "What are you doing?" Xirex questioned as the tactical display showed the Hive ships faltering. "Analog," Alina explained, pointing to the readouts showing low-tech radio waves, acoustic vibrations, and mechanical resonance fields. "We're not trying to hack their neural network. We're overwhelming their sensory inputs with noise they can't filter." The Hive ships began to slow, their formations becoming disorganized as their sensory arrays experienced unexpected physical interference. The neural linkages that formed the basis of their coordination began receiving contradictory information. "The Hive evolved beyond analog communication millennia ago," Alina continued. "They don't even monitor those frequencies anymore. It's like trying to hack a quantum computer with a telegraph. It shouldn't work, except the telegraph is creating physical resonance patterns that the quantum processor wasn't designed to handle. As the Hive fleet struggled to maintain coordination, Alina signaled the next phase. All ships, execute Protocol Genesis, Phase 2. From the bellies of the human ships launched what appeared to be primitive projectiles, essentially metal slugs with minimal guidance systems. Kinetic weapons. Xerex's translator couldn't hide his disbelief. These are ancient technology. Yes, Alina agreed, and the Hive has no defense against them, because they're too primitive to register as weapons. The slugs accelerated toward the Hive vessels, their trajectory seemingly random. When they impacted against the Hive shields, they didn't explode or penetrate. Instead, they fragmented into thousands of pieces, each fragment coated with a substance engineered in the Intrepid's labs over the past 16 hours. "What are those particles?" Xerex asked, watching as they clung to the Hive shields. "Engineered bacteria," Alina explained, "specifically designed to consume the energy matrix the Hive uses to maintain their shields." Xerex's suit lights flickered rapidly. Biological warfare against machines. "Not warfare, evolution," Alina corrected. "These bacteria don't attack the Hive directly. They simply eat the energy in their shields, converting it to forms the shields can't recycle. It's not an attack program they can adapt to. It's life finding a way." Across the view screen, the Hive shields began to flicker and dim as the microscopic organisms multiplied, feeding on the very energy meant to repel them. The Hive ships attempted to compensate by increasing shield output, which only accelerated the process. "Commander Diaz," Alina called, "begin the third phase." The human ships suddenly altered course, forming new patterns that seemed chaotic but served a purpose. Each vessel activated powerful electromagnetic tethers, technology dating back to Earth's earliest space mining operations, creating an intricate web of overlapping fields. "We're not trying to destroy them," Alina explained to Xerex as the Hive vessels became entangled in the invisible network. "We're constraining their movement options." The tactical display showed the Hive fleet's coordinated patterns dissolving into confusion. Without their neural synchronization, encumbered by unfamiliar analog interference, their shields compromised by simple biological life, and their movements restricted by primitive electromagnetic fields, the once unstoppable armada found itself vulnerable. "All Vectran vessels," Alina broadcast, "target the designated coordinates with your graviton cannons. Concentrated fire, maximum yield." The Vectran ships, which had been observing with a mixture of fascination and disbelief, responded immediately. Streams of gravitational distortion struck the weakened Hive vessels, twisting and warping their hulls. Without their shields to diffuse the gravitational forces, the massive ships began to buckle under their own mass. "I don't understand," Xerex admitted, watching as the mighty Hive fleet was being systematically dismantled by what should have been inferior forces. "Your technology is outdated. Your methods are primitive. By all logic, you should be failing." Alina smiled. "That's exactly why we're winning. The Hive expects logical, predictable responses. They evolve by analyzing patterns and developing counters. But humans, we're messy. We keep every technology we've ever developed. We mix and match. We combine the digital with the analog, the biological with the mechanical." The lead Hive ship, its neural network overwhelmed by contradictory inputs, its shields consumed by engineered bacteria, and its structure compromised by gravitational weapons, began to break apart. As if sensing the defeat of their flagship, the remaining Hive vessels attempted to retreat, but found themselves trapped in the electromagnetic web. "Lieutenant Wu," Alina ordered, "transmit the final signal." A powerful electromagnetic pulse radiated from the entire 14th Fleet simultaneously, timed to create a cascading resonance pattern throughout the Hive neural network. The effect was immediate and devastating, like an epileptic seizure spreading through a unified consciousness. Ship by ship, the Hive armada went dark. 12 hours later, As the combined fleet completed cleanup operations, Alina stood in a conference room aboard the Vectran flagship. The Vectran High Commander, Telix, regarded her with what she guessed was their version of astonishment. In 40 cycles, we lost over 300 of our most advanced vessels. Telix said through the translator, "Your 26 outdated ships accomplished what we thought impossible." Alina shook her head. "It wasn't our ships that won this battle, Commander. It was our perspective. The Hive believed that technological progress meant abandoning the old for the new. Humans know better. Every technology, no matter how primitive, still has its place." Telix's posture shifted. "The Vectran Conclave has reconsidered its assessment of humanity. We had judged you by your technological development alone. We failed to understand your true strength." "Which is?" Alina asked. "Adaptation," Telix replied. "While we perfected singular paths of technology, you explored thousands. While we standardized, you diversified. The Hive seeks perfection through uniformity. You achieve resilience through variety." As Alina prepared to return to her ship, Ambassador Zerex approached her. "Captain Rice, as promised, the Vectran Conclave will share our gravitational manipulation technology with Earth. But we request something in exchange beyond our original agreement." "What's that?" Alina asked. "Teachers," Zerex replied. "We wish to learn how humans think. Not your technology, your methodology, your messiness." Alina laughed. "I'm sure we can arrange that. Though I should warn you, human messiness can be contagious." Later, as the Intrepid prepared to head home, Alina recorded her final report. 14th Fleet returning to Earth space. Hive Dominion threat neutralized in Vectran sector. 73 enemy vessels disabled or destroyed. Minimal casualties to Allied forces. Victory achieved through implementation of Protocol Genesis, the strategic deployment of abandoned technologies and methodologies against an enemy expecting only the advanced. She paused, considering her next words carefully. Recommend immediate establishment of technology archaeology divisions in all UNDF fleets. Our greatest strength against future threats may not lie in what we're developing, but in what we've already discarded and forgotten. The Hive expected us to fight tomorrow's battle. We won by fighting with yesterday's weapons." As the 14th Fleet jumped to FTL, Alina gazed at the stars streaking past the viewport. The Misfits had proven their worth not despite their outdated equipment and unconventional methods, but because of them. In a galaxy of species racing toward technological singularity, humanity's refusal to forget its past might just be its salvation. The universe was full of threats evolving toward perfection. Humanity would survive by embracing its imperfections and turning them into strength. And the Hive would think twice before challenging Earth again.